With all of the horrors our world is seeing these days, it is always nice to soothe one's heart with a heartwarming story about law enforcers who come to people's help at the most unexpected times. If you're in need of a warm story to revive your hopes in humanity, read along. It all starts with Louis Hicks, a 92-year-old World War II veteran who was living alone in Austin in a humble house. Louis was extremely upset when he found out one morning that a thief had stolen all of his tools from the shed behind his house. Louis, an elderly citizen living on his own, had no one else to assist him in the matter, so he decided to call the cops for help. Louis called 911. Only minutes after his call, the officer Chastity Salazar was sent to the scene in order to complete a report and assess what was lost. Officer Chastity wasn't expecting the call to take the turn it did after she had a look at the place Louis lived in when she got there. When the police officer stopped by Mr. Hicks' house in order to complete the report she had to file, her concerns shifted from the report to what the elderly veteran was up to. This became more important to her than the thief who had broken in and burglarized the old man's shed. The officer was very troubled from the first sight she had in the kitchen. She knew there was no way she could ignore what she had just seen. The veteran had a gas-powered range in his house, next to which he put a small portable fan. Officer Salazar didn't take long to realize that the old veteran was actually using his stove and oven to warm up his chilly home. After turning on the kitchen appliance, the fan would blow the hot air into Mr. Hicks' living room, acting as a heating system for his house that was deprived of central heating. It goes without saying that this was a huge safety concern for the officer. Genuinely worried about the safety of Louis, Officer Salazar knew she had to do something about it with no further wait. She decided to immediately contact her coworkers at the Austin Police Department. She filled them in on the troubling sight she had found in the home of the elder veteran who lived deprived of life's most substantial equipment. With the help of Austin Cops' 4 charities, Austin Police Association, and St. David's Foundation, Officer Salazar was fortunately able to get the veteran a heater, free of cost. That's just what we do as police officers. I could realize that he's using the oven. I know that's not safe. His gas is on, Officer Salazar said. Officer Salazar, along with her fellow officer Bino Cadenas, proudly delivered Hicks' new heater. When the 2 cops arrived at Louis' house in order to install the free electric fireplace, the elderly veteran was at a loss of words and overwhelmed. "I've never had no one to do nothing for me," Hicks said with a shaking voice, trying to hold back tears. "After my mother passed away and left me to take care of my 2 sisters, nobody ever did anything to help me." Before Louis had to resort to using his gas range for heat, Louis had been using an old heater that almost caused a fire in his home a few months earlier. When it burned a hole in the floor, he knew he couldn't keep using it for heating and stopped it. He eventually turned to his stove and oven as a source of warmth instead. "You hate to ask anybody cause sometimes they'll frown on you, and I'm a true veteran. I won't ask. I won't ask," Hicks said. Veteran Louis isn't the only one who had his life changed after this thoughtful gesture. Officer Salazar is the most grateful for having the opportunity to serve a man who served his country. "He's just offered me a lot of kindness too, so to know that he's also served, and now I'm able to serve and give back to people like him," she said, according to KVUE report. Thanks to the kindness and consideration of 2 Austin police officers and several organizations, the elderly veteran will finally be able to sleep in safety and warmth without worrying about a fire starting in his house during his sleep. Your heart warmed up enough now? Hold still, things get better. Their generosity didn't end there. Proving that they are also all about being of service to others, the Austin Police created a wish list of Mr. Hicks' other needs. As can be predicted, the community was very quick to step up and the veteran was surrounded with people who wanted to show appreciation and support from all over the place. Someone even brought him lunch, coffee, and some goodies from Tips Treats, a bakery in Austin. Moreover, the Austin Cops for Charities have also revealed that they actually have about 10 heater units left to donate, in an attempt to further encourage those in need to visit austinc4c.com and get their heater installed and ready to use. In addition to that, a GoFundMe was created for Louis Hicks, which was able to raise over $10,000 in barely 2 weeks after it was first started. It goes without saying that the humble veteran was very grateful for everyone's generosity and support. At such age, the only thing people care about is having a support system and not being left invisible from the world. It means everything. The things I've been trying to do since the 40s, Hicks said, explaining that the help he had long hoped for just came in. The Austin officers proved that they were more than just police and law enforcers. Some called them angels in blue, which they really were in this case, as not only have they responded to an old man's desperate call, they also took a step further and made his life all the more comfortable without him having to utter a single word or complaint. They were simply the answer to this veteran's prayers. We have to agree with Mr. Hicks, who declared, "God is good." Indeed, God is good all the time.